Hello, and welcome to Addicted Like Us, a podcast discussing all things written by Krista and Becca Ritchie. I'm your host, Haley, and today I have Julia, aka Reading Chemist Chronicles, with me to talk about Some Kind of Perfect, book 10 in the Addicted series. This is part 4 of the Some Kind of Perfect discussions, so make sure you listen to the first 3 episodes before you start this one, or the timeline is going to be a little confusing. As a quick recap, I am Haley, a longtime reader and lover of Krista and Becca's work. I'm also a part-time illustrator, and I had the privilege of working on the special edition covers of the Leica series. Now, I just love to spend my time talking about all of my favorite books, aka anything written by Krista and Becca. So the Addicted Like Us podcast was created so I could sit down with friends and discuss all of our thoughts. So let me reintroduce you to Julia.
Hi, I'm Julia. I have been reading and loving Krista and Becca's books for about 10 years now. I first found Addicted to You on a Goodreads list and have read every book that was out and continued to read every book as they released. And I went from kind of a silent reader, Fizzle Force, and Patreon participant, and then started my Bookstagram last year. And I love chatting about these books, so I'm happy to be here talking about my favorite fictional universe.
And for everybody that's watching, you will not notice a gap in the timeline, but there's been a couple of months between us recording, so you'll have to forgive us if there are details that get repeated or however it works for however it plays out on this episode. But there was a trip to Australia and New Zealand that happened in between the 3rd and 4th episodes, so quite a bit of time. And I have already hard launched him on Instagram, but I thought I'd share our new podcast pet. We've had Phoebe make her appearance, but we have Nova now, who is Phoebe's little brother.
Cutie.
Yeah, so he might pop up. Okay, so jumping back into the discussion, we are in the year 2021 now. So I guess what have we discussed so far? I guess at this point, I guess we can say that the Cobalt family now consists of Jane, Charlie and Beckett, Elliot, and Tom. Tom was the last Cobalt boy to be born. And the sad bit was that the day that Rose went into labor with Tom was also the day that Sadie passed away. And then for the Hale family, Maximoff and Luna, Lillian Lowe had their daughter at the end of 2020 or 2019. I can't remember. No, I always forget she's older than Tom.
Yeah, she's in between Tom and
Yeah,
Elliot.
I always picture the boys as older than her, but she's older than him. But anyway, Luna was their last baby that they had. And then Reich and Daisy still just have Sully, but there has been a couple of mentions of surrogacy with Rose, and they still haven't figured out what to do about that. And we also have Garrison has since moved in with Lillian Lowe. He's like fully estranged from his family now. He has like no contact with them and just lives with Lillian Lowe as family while he continues to date Willow long distance. I feel like those are basically the really big highlights.
Yeah. And they've been filming We Are.
Yes, they've been filming We Are Calloway throughout all of this and just kind of navigating like the changing levels of fame that they get with having babies and just becoming more public facing, I guess. I picture it as like their fame just continues to grow and they're learning to adjust with all of that while still having more kids and how to balance that fame with keeping the kids' privacy if should they want it. So we are picking back up. It is March of 2021. This is Lily's point of view, and she is headed to Superheroes and Scones. And she's got Luna and Maximoff with her. She had to like park down the street from Superheroes and Scones, and her bodyguard Garth was in a different car. He parked somewhere else. So she is walking just by herself with her 2 babies, and there are paparazzi all around her, and they're kind of swarming her, and she's just like in protection mode, please don't, like, please leave my kids alone. Please don't let my kids say something silly. But also, I am strong. Luna is heavy, but I've got arms of steel and I will not drop my baby. I will make it to the store without having to set her down. And also holding I think he's 5, my 5-year-old's arm or hand while we're walking. So she's holding Luna one-armed and then holding Mafi's hand. She's strong. So this first part of the chapter is kind of her like talking about their relationship with the paparazzi, that there are some that they really try and give, like they try and pay no attention to, give them nothing, but there are like a couple of paparazzi that have sort of formed like a relationship with them. There's one guy, Robbie, that like is friendly to Mafi, and so Mafi will talk to him. But so he asks Max, he's like chit-chatting with Maximoff, like, what's going on today? What have you been into? Like, how's it going, Lily? What's new with you? And our sweet Maximoff has so many things to share with the paparazzi that mommy is wearing big girl pads because her tummy doesn't feel good today.
Kids are just the funniest. They say anything. They share anything.
They have no filter, and also
They really
like,
don't.
if you make it casual, then they're gonna think it's casual. So Lily has her period and she couldn't find tampons, so she had to put on pads, and Maximoff was asking what she was doing, and she just made it casual. Don't worry about it. So he's gonna think, okay, it's casual. I don't have to worry about it. Okay. No, mommy doesn't want that news shared all over the place.
Maybe not a big deal, but maybe not share it with the paparazzi.
Right.
But,
Right.
It's fine.
And also, Robbie asks Maximoff if he has a joke that he'd like to share, which is, what do you call a dog with 4 legs? Doggy style. My sweet, innocent child. Sweet summer child. And of course, Lily's absolutely mortified. So she rushes everybody into the store. She's mortified too. And this is Lily, who blushes at anything and blushes all over. So thank goodness that was all captured. So they're in the store and she sets Maximoff down, or she sets Luna down and like wants to talk with Maximoff in the break room. And he's like, but like, why are you you're red, mommy. Are you okay? Like, why are you so red? And he immediately goes to like, are you sick? And I love I feel like we kind of saw little bits of Maximoff being like very empathetic in previous chapters, where he was like, he wants to, like, you have a lot of money, don't you want to make sure like other kids have enough toys, and like, don't you want to share that kind of stuff? And there was like, you could start to see that aspect of him being like very charitable and philanthropic even when he was like really little. He wants to make sure that everybody's taken care of. And we see it even more with like how much he cares about his family, that he wants everyone to be safe and okay. I feel like this is one of like those bigger moments where we see him acting that way, where it's like, why are you red? Are you sick? Are you okay, mom? I need to make sure that you are fine. I am a child. I need to make like, and Lily's over here like, you are a child. You don't need to worry about me. Mommy has her feelings, but you're the kid and I take care of you. But that is not the Maximoff Hill way. He will always want to make sure that everyone's okay. And
yeah, like,
go ahead.
like, even though he's not only is he like he feels so like he worries so much about everyone and wants everyone to be like happy and okay, but he also, it's like almost like he wants to, even at like the age of 5, it's like he wants to almost like fix, like he wants to help, and just like he already has that like acting older than he is. Like he's 5, and that's like not, most 5-year-olds probably aren't worried about helping or like worried about helping their parent or like doing stuff like that, but he is not your typical 5-year-old in that aspect.
No, he's a very adult child.
Yeah.
But I think Lily says it best. Like, I worry about you so much, but you never have to worry about me. Your job is to play and be the big brother to Luna and read comics and run around the yard. like my job is to worry about you. And Maxwell's like, no, I am adult. My job is to worry about everybody. And I think he says, but I love you. And it like hits Lily. In the middle of this, she's trying to dial low. And this is the bit where Maximoff's like, don't cry, mommy. And then it's Lo's voice over the phone being like, Lily? Crying? What? She's like, oh crap, how much did he hear? And oh my god, I love Lo so much. He is at work, and all he hears is he gets this phone call from his wife. He hears his son say, don't cry, mommy. And then Lily's like, no, I'm fine. And Maximoff goes, mommy's crying, daddy. And Lo, he's at work, and he's like, all right, fine, I'm out of here. I am going to my family right now. I love it. Yes.
Grace. Like, gotta make sure she's okay. Gotta go.
So
That's great.
romantic. But so Lily's like, it was just one tear. I'm totally fine. You don't need to leave work. And he's like, no, I'm coming to get you. And that's my sock. Stop. Lily's like, Maximoff, do you want to tell Daddy what joke you told to the paparazzi while we were walking into Superheroes and Scones? And he repeats the joke, and Lo runs into a wall. I just love this whole little bit. Yes, you've got a little adult kid, but also he does not understand the adult jokes.
Like he's still 5.
Yes.
He's still just repeating something that he heard and was like, "Oh, that's funny," but I really don't get. He does not get what it actually
No.
like means.
Yes, this is a bit where he's like, it's funny because like Coconut's a girl and she's got 4 legs. Get it? Doggy style? Yeah. Yes, that's what doggy style is. You're so right. Sweet, sweet innocent child. Stay a child. You're not an adult yet. So at this point, then Garrison walks into the break room, and Lily thinks that Lo might have sent Garrison to come check on her, and that's not the case. So she and Lo hang up, and Lily turns her focus to Garrison of like, why are you here? And we see we see a little bit of how Garrison sort of fit into their little family unit, that like we told Mafi to start calling him uncle the minute Garrison moved in with us. There was a chance he'd never be with Willow long term, but we knew Garrison would always be part of our family no matter what. I love them. They adopt all the misfits, take them in.
Like I think we actually did kind of talk about this in one of the last episodes, but there's not like a condition on him being like a part of their family. It's not him attached to Willow. It's just him, which
Yes.
I just love.
It's so sweet. That relationship that they personally have with him, regardless of Willow's relationship with their family, I love that they, like how much they've grown, that Garrison was kind of a terror to them, and now he's Uncle Garrison to their kid.
I also like that. So when Lily like kind of realized like, oh wait, she wouldn't have sent Garrison here, or he wouldn't have sent Garrison here. Like she kind of realizes that. I think it's also interesting that like she says that because she's like, we don't take he wouldn't send Garrison here to like check up on me because like we take care of Garrison. We're that kind of like support for Garrison. And I think that's so like good that like they feel like that like support system for him, because I feel like in a lot of like the other relationships they kind of feel like Connor and Rose are like there for them, and like she doesn't feel like an older sister to Daisy a lot of times because she's like, wow, Daisy's so mature. Like I kind of feel like sometimes she takes care of me. Like in a lot of their other relationships they kind of feel like, because of a lot of the stuff they've been through, like they are the ones being taken care of. And I feel like it's really important and like good for them to be like, no, we take care of like Garrison, we're there for him, and like we're that support system for her to even just be like, oh wait, no, like he's not, probably didn't send him here because like we're that support for him, like I take care of him, like that's just like good for them. Not that never, I'm sure in like the even time like later on Garrison probably is also supportive of them, but just like it's a different relationship than the other ones that they have with their sisters and stuff. So
Yeah. So, Lily catches up with Garrison a little bit. She's like trying to figure out why he's here, but this is where we learn that at this point, Willow and Garrison, like, even though she says like there was a chance he'd never be with Willow long term, we learn that Garrison proposed to Willow. So they are now engaged and are going to get married. So he will be officially part of the family through marriage by law soon enough. But right now, Garrison's kind of asking about comic books. He's trying to find all of the comics that mention a character Soren X, and Lily is trying to figure out why he's so interested in comics, because that's not really his thing, that's Willow's thing. So that's where we get like, are you reading these like, Willow, did she get you into comics? And he's like, well, I read New Mutants because of Willow. And Lily is just absolutely in love with their love story. She was the Cupid that started it, letting these two work together and getting them into the same orbit. And here they are years later, engaged, and she finds it so cute. Garrison clearly has something that he wants to talk with Lily about, and he keeps like, he can't get it out. So the first thing that like he kind of talks about is that there was kind of this crazy paparazzi presence when they came home from Philly. So Garrison proposed to Willow in London, and the whole family went out there. And then when they came back, the news of the engagement had like hit the press. So everyone was kind of bombarding them, and most particularly Garrison, which was kind of unusual. He's not usually the one that's the center of the paparazzi's attention. So I think it was a new feeling for him. So she's checking on him like, are you okay? You guys never actually talk with us about like how the media affects you guys, but you can talk with us about this. I think it's so sweet. He's like, being around you guys, it just comes with the territory, and we've just like gradually stepped into it. So like maybe they aren't necessarily comfortable with it, but they're like, it is what it is. We want to be part of your lives, so we're willing to like get ourselves used to it. And it's not like they have the same level of fame as the rest of the core six, so it's not, he said they can more gradually step into it, but they're willing to brave it out, to be part of the family, which I think is really sweet. And then he also asks about his, I think we see it, I don't know how much we've seen of it, but he talks about how at the airport he doesn't want to be mobbed the same way he was when they got home, which is like a theme or something that's part of Garrison's whole thing, is he doesn't like to be touched because his brothers were shitheads and beat him up. So he has this aversion to touch, and being mobbed like that probably doesn't really help the situation. So Lily's like, well, you can take our private jets. He's like, no, that's way too much for just me flying to see Willow. And Lily's like, well, then take Garth. You can take my literal bodyguard. He is the best bodyguard there is. You already have one, but take mine too. I love it. And she's like, just willing to come up with any possible solution to this to make him feel comfortable and like still be able to see Willow. And I love how she's just like, it wasn't something where she's like, okay, well, if he doesn't like that, it's just sort of like immediately, well, you're gonna take Garth then. It's like a very immediate solution. Duh, of course you're gonna take Garth.
I love that it wasn't like, okay, well, like, we'll get you a bodyguard. It was like, no, take mine. Like, take Garth. Like, he's the best. So, like, you need him. Like, yeah, he'll go with you.
He's number
It's
one.
great.
I can vouch.
Yeah.
As the most famous woman in, like, and at least Philly, as one of the most famous people out there, like, Garth, he's top tier. He'll
Yeah.
take care of you. And she asks if he's told Willow about that particular, like, problem that he's facing, the being mobbed. And he says he hasn't because he wants to brave it out for her, which is, they're all about being brave. It's so cute. And Mafi's like, I think you're brave, Uncle Garrison. Your kid's cute. Or your kid's funny. So then this is the bit where he finally is like, I have to ask you about the Soren X comics. And we start to get a little bit of it that like this has to do with his work. He mentions the tall one is literally throwing hundreds of thousands of dollars at my face. And the tall one's Connor, of course.
Tall one. I love his nicknames for them.
I know, it's like, Connor is so smart, but Garrison's just going to reduce him to a literal, like, physical feature. And it's not even, like, a beautiful physical feature. It's literally just very basic. You're tall. You're the tall one. So we get that bit just before Lo comes into the break room and they're interrupted. And then we get this cute reunion between Lo and Lily. And then him immediately being concerned, where are my kids? Where are our children? And Maximoff has, like, climbed into, I forgot to mention that, where Lily is trying to keep Maximoff, like, keep him distracted while she has this conversation with Garrison, and she's like, go take care of your sister, go babysit Luna. And he's like happily going over to take care of her, and she's like, babysitting is supposed to be a chore, and I really don't think babysitting is a chore for him. I think he absolutely loves this.
Yeah.
So that's where Maximoff has been this whole time, just completely enjoying getting to take care of his little sister. Yes.
She's like, I was trying to make it sound fun, but I don't think I needed to, because I think babysitting is just fun for him.
Yes.
Like, yep. He was just all for it.
Absolutely. So he's been playing with Luna, and he, like, climbed into a box. She was hiding in a box of plushies, and so that's where they were when Lo comes into the break room, and Lo's like, where are our kids? And I mean, they're kids, so they laugh a little bit, and Lo's like, okay, I know where they are, but I'm not a nice man.
He's so mean.
And he like play acts that he doesn't know where the kids are. Oh my god, Lily, call 911. I don't know where they are. And Maximoff jumps out of the box. We're here. No, don't call the cops. I'm right here. I'm totally okay. And he gives Lo such a big hug, and Lily's like, you just wanted that stinking hug.
I think it's hilarious because then when he says, after he gets the hug, and then he's like, did the aliens get you? And he's like, yes. They're talking about that, and he was like, who would be awake to see the aliens? Crazy Uncle Reich and Aunt Daisy.
Yeah, the ones who never sleep.
Yeah.
Yes, so then Garrison kind of interrupts, and we think we're gonna get, we're trying to figure out what the heck Garrison is doing here, and it's just gonna take a while. So instead of asking about the comics, he asks Lo if he would be his best man at his wedding. I love their relationship so much that he asks Lo if he'd be his best man at his wedding. And then he asks if Connor and Reich would be interested in being groomsmen.
The tall one and the angry one.
Yes. I was trying to remember what he called Reich.
Yeah.
But I just think it's so sweet that, like, Garrison had these shitty 3 older brothers who, like, in theory would have been groomsmen at his wedding or whatever if they'd had a better relationship, but they didn't. Garrison has found his replacement in Connor, Reich, and Lo. I love it so much. I live for the found family vibes.
Yeah.
Yes, so Lo is obviously, like, very touched that he's been asked to be the best man, and he says yes. And I think we also learn that Daisy's going to be Willow's maid of honor. And that Willow, like, immediately asked her after she got engaged. She was like, I already know my best friend is going to be my maid of honor, and we're not going to waste any time asking. It's just going to be right now, which I love.
Yes.
Because I don't think Daisy was ever the maid of honor for Rose or Lily. So I think it was sweet that Daisy gets to be picked first.
Yeah.
And then once again, Lily is like trying to figure out, Garrison, why are you here? What is it that you're doing at Superheroes and Scones about these comics? And she like tries to bring it up, and Garrison's like, no, don't say anything in front of Lo. And Lily's just like trailing off, like, never mind. I don't know. Okay, trying to pick up the signals here. And Lo then just says, is this about your video game? Garrison's like, the fuck you know about it?
He's been stressing so hard. And like, they just already knew.
Yeah, and it's like, he hasn't told Connor about the like, his literal boss, he hasn't told about this. And Lo's like, yeah, well, Connor has like 7 eyes and like 10 brains, and like, he's
like, he knew.
He's like 10 leagues, 10 way ahead of you. You might not know what he's thinking, but he knows what you are. He's already talked with me about the video game, and I've already talked with the creators of the character, and they're on board. And Garrison's like, oh my god, I've been stressed about this for so long, and everyone just like is already on board with it. This is so easy.
He's literally over here like stressing so much, like, oh my gosh, Connor's gonna find out this is what I'm doing and just like shut it down because
Yeah.
like he's gonna think he's wasting his money on me. And like meanwhile, Connor already knows and is just like, yeah,
He's
it's
already like
great.
laid
Lo, like
all of
this is what is happening.
I love it. So Garrison wants to create this kind of like, I don't know how he, yeah, what I'm making is classic indie. He's like trying to create this game style that like fits in with the style of the comic. And Lowe's like, yeah, they're absolutely all for it. Like they don't want, like, Belinda and Jackson are the creators of the Fourth Degree universe that Howley Comics publishes. So they don't want like some soulless corporate company like taking over the game. And Lowe's like, yeah, no, they absolutely love the vision that you have for this. And we've just been waiting for you to tell us so we could get started on this. I've been mentioning the video game to Belinda and Jackson for a full year, and they're interested. I know they'd work with you. I'll give you their number. Garrison is speechless. He's had a hard go, and now everything's just sort of like lining up very, very nicely for him now. We love to see it.
You also think about it too, like I get why Garrison was like would be kind of nervous or like think like okay, maybe it will just all get, shut down or whatever, or like he'll be upset if he figure out that like this is what I've been spending my time on. But also when Connor like did like hire him stuff, he was kind of just like do something.
Yeah.
Yeah, like whatever you want, do it. And I
I
am investing in your talent, basically.
Yes.
And like I know you'll do something that is, you know, worth it. And he didn't really set like specific guidelines or expectations. So like it makes sense Connor wouldn't be like upset or obviously because it's something like he's been putting the hours. Clearly he was working like crazy earlier,
Yes.
like I forget if it was the previous year in 2020, but when they had to like drag him to his birthday
Yeah.
party because he was working like 12-hour days or whatever, like he's clearly putting in the time.
Yes.
Like, yeah.
Yes. So then Lo is helping Garrison find some of these comics, and Lily is snuggling with Luna, and Maximoff is like, oh my god, mommy's butt is bleeding. Sweet, sweet boy. You want to be an adult so bad. You are still just a child. I love seeing these bits where, like, yes, he wants to be so grown up, but he's a little kid.
Yeah.
And basically, Lily has bled through her pad, and she's like, how bad is it, Lo? And he's like, it's totally fine, but his face is saying it's a bloody mess back there, love. And of course, she walked through the paparazzi, and it was very likely that they may have had snapshots of her leaking back there. And poor Maximoff is like, mommy's hurt. There is blood. We have to help her. And Lo's like, mommy's not hurt. This is just something that happens. This happens to girls. Luna and Jane are gonna go through this too. Mommy says, that's not fair. I don't want Luna and Janie to bleed from their blood.
He's so upset by this.
He is so upset. I love him so much. I knock into a metal shelf and rub my forehead. Lo and Garrison stifle their laughter, but I can see their smiles through the shelf. I've been cracking up so much. But he's still a little kid, so they're not gonna get into the whole biology behind all of this, and Lo just has to reassure Mafi that like it's not gonna come anytime soon. He's like, it's not gonna hurt them. I'm over here like, I beg to differ. Kind of hurt, but to calm down Maximoff, we won't mention that. It's not gonna hurt them. And then this chapter ends so sweetly. You think I'd let anything bad happen to your little sister? No, because you make all the monsters go away. I rub at my watery gaze. Lauren Hale is not the monster in his son's eyes. He's the hero. Amen.
Yes. So much for Lo, who is so worried about like how his just like having kids and raising his kids and how they would see him, and like he's a hero to them.
That he'd be so harsh that like even if he didn't try to be, he may not come off the right way. And no, Maximoff sees him for what he is, a superhero.
Yeah.
Okay, so the next chapter, it is now September. We're at a cafe in Philly, and it's Rose and Reich at this cafe having lunch together. I love that Rose is like, I think she mentions it that like in college, like my sisters and I like lived at, she was at Princeton, Lily was at Penn, Daisy was at Villanova. It was like they were all over the place, but Rose like wanted to keep in contact with her sisters and like tried to like plan lunches and get-togethers, and like she plans a get-together with her brother-in-law. They have something to talk about. She has an important thing to talk about with Reich. But first we see her reading this tabloid calling her baby crazy because she is pregnant again with baby number 6 now, and she thinks it's ridiculous. She also talks about how lame it is that some people will say that, oh my god, she's pregnant again, like I thought she was all about like this feminist movement and being independent, and but she's like having all of these kids, how can she possibly do that? And she's like, independence has literally nothing to do with being a mother or not. It's about maintaining your own autonomy, and I can be a mom and maintain my own autonomy. That's a thing.
Yes, it's just doing what you want to do.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
if you want to, like, yeah, she says, like, it's about self-governing, about choosing for yourself and making your own decisions. So, exactly, like, she chose she wanted to have kids, and she's choosing she wants a career. And, like, if other people don't want to do that and choose that, then, like,
That's your
that
prerogative.
that's still, yeah, and that has nothing to do with, like,
Her
being
independence.
independent. No.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, but she's like very upset about this, and she's like, Reich, you need to be upset about this too. And he's like, I mean, like, for the most part, the article's not wrong. They're just
He's like, you do have a lot of kids.
you have a lot of kids and you are pregnant again. So she's very early. I think that she said she's only like 15. Well, I guess that's not very early. She's through her first trimester at this point. But like they decided earlier, they were going to announce this a little earlier because she's not necessarily showing, I think is what she said. That she's like not totally showing, but they mentioned it on an episode of We Are Calloway. So it's like official news. And she didn't want there to be like a tabloid leak, make that announcement on their own time. But so she is also talking about the atmosphere of this cafe, that it's like kind of like more dimly lit. It's a lunchtime meeting that they're having together, but it's kind of got like this dim romantic vibe going. There's a rose on the table. She's like, it's wilted, but it's still giving off like, I think the waitress ships me and Reich together. It's just no. Weird.
Rorai.
Rorai. Yes. What did Lily call our ungodly ship name? Rorai? I recoil. But Rose then tries to bring up the reason why she's out to lunch with Reich, which is she's tried to talk with Daisy about this topic, and Daisy shuts her down. So she's going to try the other half of the family, in that she's very serious about being a surrogate for Reich and Daisy so that they can have another kid. And Daisy's like constantly shutting Rose down. Like, nope, we're not going to discuss this. Maybe it's like every time that Rose isn't pregnant, there's like, okay, maybe we'll think about this. But then Rose does wind up getting pregnant again, and they're like, nope, never mind. We're not going to talk about this. Door slammed firmly shut, and Rose just really wants them to know, like, we're very serious about this. Just because I'm having this baby does not mean I don't want your family to continue growing, and I want you guys to seriously consider this. And I love that. I love that she is so desperate, determined to help them grow their family. But then Reich's also over here like, you need to respect Daisy. She's telling you, listen to Daisy. Daisy's whole journey of like, she is voicing what's going on, and right now what she's saying is, we're not going to discuss it. Maybe like once you've had your baby, we can try and return to the topic, but for right now, you got to listen to her. She's telling you, not right now, the end. Rose goes, where were you born? If this is bait to insult me, simple town with simple answers. I love her.
She literally, like, that part made me laugh out loud. Just like, that's so Rose, but also sometimes I feel that.
Yes. I love that Reich sees like right through her. If this is bait to insult me, simple town.
Yeah.
And then the next bit, you've been spending too much fucking time with my little brother. Sometimes I wonder if you've been body fucking snatched by him. Please, I have an automatic destroy and castrate function. If anyone named Lauren Hale tries to get inside me, I pause at the string of words I just used. This is why I don't do lunch with you. I say things like that. And then, but Reich is like totally unfazed by this. It's like, yeah, this is just Rose Calloway hyperbolic speak. I'm very used to this at this point. So, again, Reich reiterates, it's just not the time to talk about having another baby. We're gonna wait until you have your next kid before we discuss this. And they table it at once the baby's born, they will return to this. It is tabled for now. And then Rose gets a call from Dalton Elementary, and her mind immediately goes to Jane. So Jane and Maximoff are now in kindergarten. They started kindergarten. Their school year just started because it's September right now. So Rose is a little worried why the school is already trying to contact her, and like her daughter's barely been in school for like that long. Like, what could be going on? So Rose then talks about like how hard it was for her to let Jane go to school, that like she's always kind of been that, like, she was able to kind of be a protector for Lily. Like, they kind of overlapped in school, that she could watch out for her sister while they were in school. But there's absolutely nothing that Rose can do for Jane because, I mean, that's her daughter. Like, Rose can't be in the school with her at this point. So she's sort of, like, battling that, but, like, insisting, no, she literally, like, skipped off into the school. She was so excited about this. She's fine. She's, like, not being like bullied or anything like that. So she picks up the phone, and it is the vice principal calling because there's something that she wants to discuss with Rose and Connor about Jane. They're sending her home for the day because of a reason, but they won't tell Rose what the reason is. They need to talk about it in person. And Rose is like, that's fucking stupid. Tell me. Why can't you tell me? It's like, is she okay? It's nothing like that. Nothing like what? She's fine. Then what? Like I said, I'd rather talk in person. She'll be waiting in the office until you arrive. She hangs up on me. That fucking... So she and Reich very quickly leave the cafe. We gotta go. And they're like bum rushed by fans and paparazzi that are like, where are Daisy and Connor? Like, what are you guys doing? Blah, blah, blah. Rose wants she wants him to drive her to Dalton. They get mobbed by some girls at the car, and Reich is trying to be gentle about like, can you please back off? Like, I need to pull out, and I don't want to hit you or anything. And the girls are like, you can pull out of me. Like, oh my God. No, your children, stop, please. After he pulls away, Rose is like, are you okay? Like, not, boundaries were kind of getting crossed there. Do they treat you like that with Daisy? Like, are you all right? He's like, one, I already have a therapist, and his name is not Rose Calloway or Rose Cobalt, so I'm not discussing those feelings with you. But also, they tend not to treat them that way when Daisy is around. I think because of what they've talked about with her PTSD and everything that's kind of gone on. They've discussed that on We Are Calloway, and they're starting to see that there are effects to that, like that there is change, that people do respect. There are some boundaries that the Corsicks have. They maintain that boundary. They don't want to hurt Daisy. Good, but also not great that like, well, Daisy's not here, so I'm gonna do it anyway. Like, no. Everybody's boundary should be that. Let's not do that.
Yeah.
He's married with a kid. What do you think is gonna happen? Okay, I'm sorry. So then Rose calls Connor while Reich is driving. She calls Connor and is like, you need to come to Dalton. They just called me and said they want to talk with us because there's something going on with Jane. They're sending her home. Stupid vice principal won't tell me what's going on. It's absolutely ridiculous. And Connor says, are you driving? And she's like, be angry that our daughter is about to be sent home from school. Why are you asking about me? Why are you worried about me? And he's like, everything's fine. If she was like actually in danger, it wouldn't be this way. And I need to make sure that you're safe. Like, I'm certain Jane is safe. I need to make sure you're safe. And he like calls the nannies and he asks, like, he figures out that Reich is driving Rose to Dalton. Wonderful. Don't speed. I'll be there as soon as I can, Rose. Try not to overreact. It shouldn't be too serious or else they'd let us know. His even-tempered voice does soothe part of my worry, but I don't like how he's more focused on me than Jane. Where are your loyalties, Richard? With my family. Fine. And I'm hardly overreacting. And then she got hung up on by the vice principal. She's like, I'm gonna get the last fucking word in here, and she hangs up on him. And then Reich is like, she goes, why did I have children with him? And Reich is like stressed. He's running his fingers through his hair, and she's like, no, both hands on the wheel. And Reich is like, Rose, you need to calm down. You are one side of the hot-tempered triad, and you're really leaning into it right now. And like, maybe Connor's right. We need to cool off a little bit. So when they get to Dalton, she like asks Reich to come with her. She's alone at this point, and she is afraid of she has not cooled down. She's afraid of what she's gonna say to the vice principal, and they have many more kids that need to go through the school system, and she doesn't want to like burn all of the bridges with her first child during their first year at the school. In like the first month, maybe the second month at school. Please help. Yeah. So even though Reich is the other side, another side of the hot-tempered triad, it's really unfortunate. I was like, there's quite an overlap between the older kids club, which is Reich, Connor, and Rose, and then the hot-tempered triad, which is Rose, Reich, and Lo. It kind of sucks that like there's that overlap where the two hotheads are just, they're involved. So Reich is like, I don't know how much help I'm going to be. I'm going to be kind of livid too, and I don't want to like burn bridges when Sully eventually goes into the school district. But like, okay, fine, I will come with you. And so they get to the meeting, and they find out that Jane is being sent home because she kissed another boy at recess, and the vice principal is like, it caused an uproar with the kids. And Rose is like, was it consented? Did he kiss her back? Like, I need more details than this. And yes, they like pecked each other on the, I think there might have been a peck on the lips and then a peck on the cheek that they kissed each other a couple of times.
Yeah.
But Wesley reciprocated, and she's like, well, is Wesley getting sent home? Like, what is the deal here? This is so stupid. It's not like she masturbated. And vice principal's like, oh my God, please no. And Mrs. Cobalt, masturbation isn't a swear word. I won't apologize for something we all do. And the woman tries to kick Reich out, like, I think it's best if we just wait for your husband. And Reich's like, she's my niece. I'm staying here. Love the support, Reich. And yeah, this is where we learn that like it was reciprocated, that he kissed her back, and that it just like the kids were a little riled up over it, and Jane's gonna be sent home. Wesley's not, because Jane was the one that initiated it. The administration created more of an uproar by acting like kissing is the plague. And this is insane. What kind of place is this? I didn't send my daughter to the Academy of Kiss and be punished. So Rose and Reich are getting very heated over this injustice that is occurring for poor Jane. They're not endearing themselves. I don't know what the right word is, but like they're on a very wrong foot with the vice principal, and she kind of issues a threat of, it'd be wise to play by the school's rules. This display is hardly putting goodwill towards the future of both your children. And it's like, great. Yeah, we have a lot more kids that have to go to Dalton, and we're creating a whole shitty mess and horrible reputation with the administration already.
Yeah. They're not really the two to calm tempers and, come into that situation and, resolve. No, that's not them because
Absolutely
they're
not.
like, this is ridiculous, which it is ridiculous. Like,
Yes.
sometimes schools just have the most crazy, okay, they kissed on the playground in kindergarten, so we're only going to send her home because she was the first one to do it, but not him. Like, just like stupid. So they were rightfully angry, but also, unfortunately, it's not going to get them a lot of places because they weren't yeah, they weren't making friends with the
Right.
administration
They
by
didn't
yeah.
articulate their points in a way that would.
Yeah.
So then
It's a little
continuing
too
on.
heated.
Yeah, yeah. So then continuing on into the next chapter, it's now Connor's point of view, and he's arriving late to the meeting because he had to wait for the nannies to watch the rest of the kids. So he shows up and he sees poor Jane sitting with her mismatched outfit, like her mismatched like hair clips, I think is what he said, or green palm hair clips and pink and yellow socks. She's just like, she is her beautifully mismatched, bold self, even at
Hmm.
age 5 and or 6. She's 6, 2021. I think they were born in 2015. Her little kindergarten self is very bold and stylish, but Jane Eleanor Cobalt is in pursuit of finding her own identity, and I'm grateful to be a witness. Me too, Connor. I love it. But she's sitting in front of the principal's office looking very sad and dejected while her mom and uncle are busy fighting the vice principal. So there's an secretary or like administrative assistant or something is sitting with Jane out in the office while Rose and Reich are in the meeting, and she's like, Mrs. Cobalt's already in there, you can go ahead in, Mr. Cobalt. And Connor's like, no, I want to talk with Jane for a second first. So he like squats down to her level. And I love how he's like, let's talk. Pardon. Pardon. Sweet little Jane. They speak in French. I love it. But she apologizes and she goes, I'm so sorry, Daddy. I didn't know. I didn't think it was wrong. Princesses do it all the time. For as long as I live, I'll never, ever kiss another person. And Connor's like, what now? She kissed someone. So he learns the story that Jane kissed a boy named Wesley because she thought it was fate. His name is Wesley Rochester. And Jane absolutely loves the stories of her, like her namesake. So she's named after Jane Eyre, and it's Jane and Mr. Rochester. Jane, our Jane Cobalt, is looking at this as fate, that there is a Rochester for her to kiss. So she did.
So that their love story would begin.
Yes, it was fate. And Connor's like, you sound so much like your mother. But she also reveals that then Mrs. Turner yelled at me and dragged me into the classroom by my wrist. I didn't know that like I was doing anything wrong. And Connor like really hears the what she did what now with your wrist, and he like inspects that she is physically okay, but she was physically manhandled during this situation, and that is not okay, and it's something to remember for later in the chapter. Mommy said that some people are fated to be together, guided me to Wesley. And Connor's like, I nearly cringe at the talk of fate, especially in conjunction with Jane and love. You're 6. Mommy also believes in ghosts. It's all just mere coincidence and partially fictitious. Jane pouts and crosses her arms. She is definitely half Rose. And then she goes, Connor's like, just wait on love. You're not the time to be thinking about that. But she goes, can I love you? And Connor's like, my mom would have said absolutely not. Like, not the way my mother raised me. And Connor's like, bien sûr, of course, my heart.
I also love that he gives her the advice of like don't seek love from other people, but also just like
Yes.
you love who you are enough that it doesn't matter like whether you find another person to like love you. And I feel like
Yes.
that was such an important little piece of advice because like that does really like follow her and she does
Yeah.
really like carry that piece of advice and we see that like later with like her character. Just
Mm-hmm.
like that little tidbit is like really a big thing of like her
Yes.
loving herself enough.
A very pivotal piece of advice for her.
Hmm.
Yeah. So then Connor goes into the office and he sees Rose and Reich are standing up. I think it was mentioned in the other chapter that like there was something that the principal said and Rose stood up and she was like, if Connor were here, he would have like remained seated and like maybe made me sit down, but Reich stands up next to me. So like they're just like their anger's building off of each other right now and Connor's walking right into the middle of it. And the vice principal sees that he's here and he's like, she's relieved. Does her relief shock me? No. Since I can remember, this has always been a common expression when I enter the room. They may as well be muttering, thank God Connor is here. I am God in every scenario. Okay, Connor. So then Connor's like, I got Jane's side of the story. He looks to Reich. I didn't do anything you wouldn't fucking do. Our actions are never similar. I use the toilet. You use the woods. Connor's saying this in front of like complete fucking strangers. Cool, thank you, Connor.
The school principal, like, all right, all right.
It's
He does
fine.
not care.
No, he does not give a shit.
He's like, hey, it's the truth, so I'm saying it.
Yes, and Connor's like, I never would have roused Rose in this situation. I understand why why she brought him in because she needed another person. She needed me, but Reich was all that was available at the time. And then when Reich is like, you want me to fucking leave? I'll leave. Connor's like, no, you can stay, my friend. So even though he says that like Reich, you go in the woods, he still acknowledges that like Reich is my friend and you're staying. He is family. So then Rose is like, well, they're suspending Jane today and they're not suspending Wesley for this kiss, which is what, and Connor's like, okay, so now I get why they're so pissed. And he goes, I understand the situation. The vice principal's like, great, so we're going to see Jane tomorrow then. And Connor says, yes, you will. And when we bring her home today, we'll teach her about sexism within this school system. So thank you for giving us the opportunity to remind our daughter that life is full of inequities. And Rose is over here like, she brims with pride. And when she catches me staring, she doesn't hide the sight. I love him is written all over her features. She's like, yes, you fucking tell this woman. I am so attracted to you right now. Defend our baby. Yes. Yes, your loyalties lie with your family. I see it. This is the shit that I live for. Yes, that tracks with Rose. And the vice principal looks microscopically small. And then Connor says, my daughter can use words to express her sentiments, and I'd expect Dalton's faculty to do the same. Next time a teacher physically drags one of my children, you'll see me under different circumstances and with far less passivity. And the principal's like, oh my, we would never hurt the children. Connor's like, no, I knew as soon as we were famous, as soon as these kids came into the school, they were going to be seen differently and be treated differently. And that's not okay. They're kids. You cannot handle them. Don't touch them. They're children. No, you need to treat them so much better than this. And she goes, we would never do that. Like, I promise we don't tolerate that. And then Connor goes, only my promises can be trusted. So your words are meaningless to me. It's just like a big mic drop. I love it. So then the next chapter is it's October. And we are in Daisy's point of view now. They are in Costa Rica at Eddie's house. So I don't think we've ever actually seen this outside of bonus. But Eddie is Reich's rock climbing buddy. We've seen him pop up in the series. And Eddie has this house in Costa Rica that whenever Eddie is out climbing, he lets Reich and Daisy spend time there when the house is empty. And we did see them there in the bonus scene in Hot House Flower, but not outside of bonus. So they are spending time there. They brought Sully with them and Coconut. So it's a little family trip to Costa Rica in the jungle. Daisy always pretends they're like in Swiss Family Robinson or whatever while they're out here, that they're just like totally disconnected from everything. It's just like a nice little reset for them. And they're just like really enjoying being out here. They love having Sully with them, but she kind of talks about how life has sort of changed now that they do have the baby. So Sully's 3 at this point, and it's like she's aware enough and like mobile enough that she's moving around a little. She notices things, she's moving around. So they're trying to be a little more careful about things. So Reich has like baby-proofed the entire, they're in a tree house. So he's like baby-proofed all the doors so that she cannot exit and accidentally fall over the side of the tree house. They have been rope swinging and it's like Sully's really interested in swinging on the ropes too, and it's like, no, you have to stay, and mom and dad, like Reich and Daisy, get on the rope swing by themselves, and they've just been alternating that, like, one of them takes care of Sully while the other one gets to like do the fun adventurous thing. But it's like worked out for them. Like, life has changed, but they're definitely looking at it in a more positive way. Like, they love that this is their little life, that they have this little baby. Even though their life has changed, it's still like full of adventure. And then we also see a little bit of Sully's personality popping up, which is always something that I love to mention, because I have seen people be like, Sully is not Reich and Daisy's daughter, and I don't know where they think that one, of course, she is their daughter. Two, she is not going to be a replica of Reich and Daisy. And three, I don't know why we're acting surprised, because we literally see it right here where they're like, Reich is on the rope swing, and Sully reaches and is like, I want to go on the rope swing. Can I swing? And Daisy's like, at least she asked. Like, Sully is more often like, she wants to do these wild things, but she will ask first. She is more cautious about certain things. And I don't know why we're acting surprised. Like, Sully is wild in her own way, but she takes things a little more cautiously. She's more careful. I'm like, yeah, yes, we're seeing the first start of it here. She's a little more careful, but still loves to do the crazy things that her parents love to do.
Yeah. Daisy even says, I think she says something like, they didn't tell her, like they didn't like necessarily teach her to like ask first. That was like all just like Sully.
Yeah.
Ask, like yeah, I think Daisy says something like, we didn't teach her that.
Yeah. They probably didn't teach her. In my head, I feel like she just sort of senses it, that she is this baby that they had to fight so hard for. So they are like this wild, crazy couple. And they will take Sully to do these wild, crazy things with them. But I think there is this sense of like, she could be our one and only. We need to protect her at all costs. She is our miracle baby. And I feel like there's some part of Sully that kind of senses that, like, my parents really want to take care of me and want me to be safe. Like, even if I can't do this fun, crazy thing, what they really want at the end of the day is for me to be safe. And I think she kind of senses that sort of thing. And that's kind of where it's like, that's why she's evolved into like, I'm going to ask, make sure it's okay. Because I feel like my parents want to take care of me and make sure I'm safe first.
Yeah. No, yeah, because I think even in a lot like this chapter, you see a lot of like like Daisy talks a lot about how like they still do their adventures, right? Like they're not like, oh, they completely 180 flipped and didn't do anything, but they are very, I don't want to say cautious, but like cognizant. I don't know, like they're very like aware of like, we can't do everything the exact same way we did before because like she's a child, right? And there's just some things like she can't do. Like it is not safe for her to swing on this rope when like it was really windy out, and like they considered strapping her to Reich's chest so she could still experience it, but like had to think like, well, actually like it's not quite safe enough. Because of like the windy weather. So actually like we're gonna step back. And that also just shows that like they're wild and adventurous, but like really cautious. I feel like cautious isn't quite the word, but like
it's like this weird, I don't even want to say it's like an oxymoron, but it's like this clashing sort of like, we want to do all of these crazy things. We're super adventurous, but at the same time, we're going to be a little careful about this. And I think, I don't know, I think cognizant is maybe like the right word.
Yeah.
But I do think I think that kind of builds into Sully's personality, and this is where we're first seeing that. So I'm always like, I don't know why we're acting surprised that like Sully does act a little different than her parents. She's still wild and crazy, but she is a little more, she'll take things a little more cautiously and safely. I don't know. That's my PSA. I will always defend my favorite mermaid. I know that she's considered not one of the most popular characters in the series, and I will fight for her. I love her so much.
Infamous is one of my top 5 favorite books, so
oh my God,
I love it.
Literally cry at the end of Infamous every single time.
I love it so much.
It makes me so emotional. Yes. So anyway, tangent aside, they're basically, I mean, for the most part, that is what a lot of this chapter is about, that like they're learning this balance of having a baby come along with them, and how can they protect her, make sure that like she's never going to get hurt. They really like they've been through so much trauma, they've been hurt, and they don't want Sully to ever experience that. How can they make sure that that doesn't happen to her while still being true to who they are, which is the wild crazy couple.
Yeah. I was just gonna say, I also think like we see more of, which I feel like we saw like a little bit um maybe earlier in the book, but and it kind of continues, but we see Reich just being like totally wrapped around her finger. Like he's such a girl dad, and he's so like struggles between like, "Ugh, I can't just like when she just kind of um like pleads with him, like she's just like, can I do it please, and he's just like like it's just like struggling, and then he like just kind of like looks at Daisy like he knows that they can't allow it, but it's also so hard for him to tell her no, and that's just like I feel like a continuous struggle for him is like being yeah, she just
Yeah, the guy that has to lay down the
really
law, but she's got the cute little baby eyes that are like, "Daddy, you can't tell me no." And he's like,
yeah.
"Damn it." And then we get this little bit where they're like, "Maybe when you're older you can do this." And she's like, "Well, I'm 7 and Daddy is 8. You're 20 something 2E and I'm 7." And Reich's like, "Fuck that. I'm not aging up my 3-year-old. She's staying a baby." And that's like, it's meaningful to Daisy that like she wasn't necessarily treated her age, and Reich is over here like, no, my daughter is 3 and I'm going to treat her like a 3-year-old. The end. And then they decide that they put Sully down to bed for the evening. They like give her a bath and try and put her to sleep. Sully has kind of adopted Reich and Daisy's poor sleep habits of like, no, I don't want. We see the beginning signs of FOMEFT starting to
Hmm.
hit Sully of, you guys are awake. I don't want to go to bed. I don't want to miss anything. So while they're like trying to put her to sleep, I think is this where they talk about the, while they're trying to put her to sleep, Sully notices the scar that Daisy has and like, do you need a band-aid? Are you okay? And Daisy's like, no, this is a really old scar. Like, I needed band-aids a while ago, but not anymore. And Sully also notices the similar scar that Reich has from his transplant surgery because he's not wearing his shirt. So like, they she can see that, and she wants to know like, and the scar that Reich has on his eyebrow too. And she's curious about it and wondering like what caused these. And it's not really something that Daisy would like wants to like ever tell her daughter about, that like the world can be kind of scary. So she plays it off as like, it's an accident. It was an accident. They were really unlucky, but they're okay now. And Sully has brought them all of the luck in the world. There will be no more accidents. Sweet sentiment, Daisy. Doesn't hold a lot, but sweet sentiment. And then she goes, Mommy, you're the most beautiful mermaid in the whole wide sea. No, Sully, that's you. So they eventually put her to sleep, and Daisy turns to Reich and goes, I'm alive for these kind of moments, which is the same thing that he told her back in Costa Rica so long ago. And it's very meaningful for Reich to hear her say that again in the same place. I love it. And so then after Sully falls asleep, Reich and Daisy go back outside and they have sex. And right at the end of it, unfortunately, our sweet little mermaid wakes up again. And Daisy is like in the middle of climaxing, and she just hears this like little knocking at the window, like, Mommy, Daddy, what are you doing? Oh my God. Dear God, no. What does my child see right now? So so Daisy panics. She's like, oh my God, we've traumatized our 3-year-old. Because that was a fear. They were outside, and she's like, what if Sully sees something? And Reich's like, no, she's not going to see anything. It's fine. And then Sully wakes up, and she sees something. So Daisy goes in and like tries to distract her. She's like, what were you and Daddy doing out there? And she's like, don't worry about it. You know what? Whenever you wake up and we're not here, there's always someone who you can turn to who will always be there for you. And it's Coconut. I think it's very sweet. I think that, yeah, you know who will always protect you. Well, who will always protect you even while you're sleeping, even when Daddy and I aren't around. Coconut. And then she snuggles with Coconut, and then Daisy says, I know life is different with a baby, the little things and the bigger things, but I smile at every new moment, every crazy second. I wouldn't trade a thing, which I love that, like, oh my God, my kid just saw me and my husband having sex, but like in another universe, Daisy wouldn't have been there at all. So like, you know what? Can't take that for granted. Weird situation, but she's not gonna remember, and it'll be okay. And I could possibly have not been here, so I'm not gonna trade any second for this strange life for any alternative.
Actually, I think right before that in the chapter, it's just I thought it was funny because when Reich was swinging on the rope, and she called him crazy, and she said that people usually think of her as like crazy, but
Yeah,
not so much Reich, but like it fits him just as much. And I think that is like um, funny, but also really true. Like
yeah.
usually, especially I think when she was younger too, like seen as like crazy, but he also like
He was right there with
is
her.
just as much and is always
Yeah.
doing he's always doing it right with her, and like it's really the both of them. They're the crazy race.
Yes, our crazy duo. Yeah, so then the next chapter, chapter 24, still October, and we are back in Philadelphia in Lo's point of view, and it is career day. So Maximoff needed to bring one of the parents in to talk about their job for career day, and neither Lo nor Lily really wanted to do this, and so they did the very adult thing of rock, paper, scissors to see who would go in. Go in. And Lo lost, so he has to go in to do career day. But he think like it's a moment of him seeing how far he's come, that like 10 years ago he would have been that, like, what does he say? If you told me at 2010 goddamn years ago that I'd be here today giving a speech to my 6-year-old kindergarten class, I'd have laughed at you. I would have reminded you that I'd never have a child and subject them to a life of pain and misery. And here you are with 2 babies. You've got 2 kids and you are so happy. Oh, I love it. So, always waiting his turn. He doesn't really want to, like, he still doesn't really want to give this speech, but like, it's hard for him not to reflect on like, oh my God, I'm literally sitting in this classroom about to talk to a bunch of 6-year-olds and my kid. Like, what a turn my life took. And he says he still wishes that, like, even though she gets on my nerves, I kind of wish Rose was here in the classroom with me, that Jane and Maximoff did not get to be in the same kindergarten class. Rose is like down the hall doing Jane's career day and is not in the same room with him. So he has to kind of sit with all these other parents. And he also talks about how like Dalton is a prep school, and a lot of the like most of them are very wealthy families. He has like a different level of wealth and also fame. So he's definitely feeling like the odd one out next to all the parents. So when it comes to his turn, he like gets up and he's like, yeah, so I'm like the CEO of a baby like product company, and like that's not really all of that fun. I also own a comic book company, and I get to do fun things with that, of like getting to read through all of these ideas that writers and illustrators have and pick which ones to do, and then I get to make fun things like these action figures. And he's like kind of connecting with the kids. They're like, what superheroes do you have? Do you have any girl superheroes? And like the kids are all like, Maximoff's so excited about, I think actually Maximoff's the one that like talks about the boring baby stuff, and then the fun comic. Where is it? This is my daddy. He's got 2 jobs. He owns Hilco and Howley Comics. The baby stuff is all right, but the comics are so cool. And my mommy owns this cafe and comic book store where all the comics go. And Lo's like, yeah, what Maximoff said. The baby stuff's kind of boring, but I do the fun stuff with the comics and all of that. And then the kids, he talks about how, or like we learn a little bit that the fourth degree is continuing to grow. Because I think it was mentioned at least in that first chapter that we talked about in this part that like the fourth degree is growing. It's like getting on par with the Avengers, like Marvel's Avengers. Like they've really grown it into a big thing now. And we learned that there is a TV show for kids that like just aired. So like it's not just comics, they're like it's really growing now. So we just learn more and more tidbits about like how big the fourth degree is actually becoming. And so they talk about the comics a little bit, and then one of the kids is like, but what about this baby stuff? And then one of the kids is like, but I've seen your face before, are you an actor or something? And it's like, no, oh my god, how are they still rerunning? Well, one, he's like, I really hope they haven't seen We Are Calloway, because that is unfiltered, like curse words, talk about sex, all of like the very adult topics. It's on HBO, so they're kids. They should not be watching that. Hopefully they don't recognize me from that. But a GBA still does reruns of Princesses of Philly, and like, oh my god, I can't believe they still do reruns of a season of Princesses of Philly that didn't even like last the full season. We ended early, but maybe
He was like, there's gotta be better stuff on TV.
Truly, something more fascinating than us for only a couple of months. And it was such poor editing and not true. And we've talked about how untrue all of that shit was. It was barely reality. And so he's like, yeah, teacher, please redirect from all of this, because that's not something we should be discussing with the little kids. So he sits down, and then this dad is like super sarcastic next to him, like, you didn't sound conceited at all. And I was like, I don't even give a shit right now. My kid is over there beaming with pride about everything that I just said, and you know what? His opinion matters way more than yours. So suck it, dude. I don't care. And we love to see that. He's a petty man, but you know what? He was not petty here. And growth, Lo. So that was a quick chapter. Now it is November, and it's Connor in New York at Madame Daphne's School of Ballet, and he has Jane, Beckett, and Charlie with him. And Jane and Beckett are currently taking a class with Madame Daphne, a ballet class with Madame Daphne, and Charlie is just sitting with Connor watching. And Connor mentions at some point that like Charlie's not really interested in this. He's really just wants to be here to support his twin. And there's definitely like a difference between how Jane is taking this ballet class versus how Beckett's taking this ballet class. Jane is like, I think he said Jane's the only 6-year-old with her feet not pressed together. I feel like she's also wearing her pastel turquoise tutu is less dainty than the other girls, but Jane picked it out, content with her lack of conformity. And Beckett's over here like trying to be so precise about everything. Jane just like does somersaults all over the place, whatever she's feeling. And Madame Daphne's like, Jane, we're not doing gymnastics right now. We're doing other ballet things. And Beckett's like flinching every time that Jane is in trouble. Like it is a reflection upon his ballet skills, while he's over here like he's taking this very seriously. He like asks the teacher, am I doing this right? Is this how it's supposed to be? So we're seeing the first first sign of Beckett's passion. And meanwhile, Connor's sitting with Charlie, and he gets a text from Rose of Iron Man, Batman, Thor. And despite the fact that they have 5 children and a 6th on the way, they still play childish games of fuck, marry, kill. Never change. Rose and Connor, please. Connor's like, are you asking for Lily? Because he knows that Rose is with Lily right now. And Rose is like, it doesn't matter. Or it was, are you asking for Lily or for yourself? And she goes, both. But it doesn't go against our rules. And I love that Lily's over here like, I need to know the answers to this fuck, marry, kill. I know you guys play this game and I'm really kind of curious. So Connor says, marry, fuck, kill. Marry Iron Man, fuck Batman, kill Thor. And he's like, I think the Thor like movie character kind of ridiculous. And Rose says, of course you would marry Iron Man. He's as egotistical as you are. Lily says you're Batman, so you just fucked yourself.
It just makes me think of him in the Batman costume.
Yes. I mean,
and then her questioning, like, is he Batman or is he Superman?
Lily's absolutely losing her mind. She's like, I had my suspicions all those years ago. This is just further confirmation. He is Batman.
Not gonna lie though, Iron Man, whenever I watch Iron Man, because that's like one of my favorite Marvel movies. Well, like I don't even know if they're my favorite Iron movies, but Iron Man is one of my favorite characters.
Mm-hmm.
And I really um I don't know, whenever Iron Man says stuff sometimes, or I guess like Tony says stuff sometimes, it just makes me think of Connor.
I can see that.
Sometimes I'm just like, wow, your ego, like that is it's very Connor Coble. Like
It is.
it's just yeah. So
Yeah.
when Lily said, or when Rose said that he's as egotistical as him, I was like, yes,
Yeah.
yep.
So he fucked himself. He's marrying himself. That's where we're at. So then Connor's like, well, I've got good taste. And Rose is like, well, I have better taste. And Connor's like, you fuck me. So we have the same taste. And she goes, okay, fine. We're equals. It's cemented. And then Charlie interrupts, like, there she goes, daddy. And he is very concerned for Beckett's sake over like how Beckett's being perceived by the teacher. He can tell that Beckett's distressed over Jane's behavior, and Connor's like, it's okay. Like, I see it too. Beckett will be fine. And then if Beckett is truly interested in this, we'll put him in a separate class. Like if Jane wants to continue this, we'll put Beckett and Jane in different classes so that he's less worried about Jane because he seems very interested in this. But he also talks about how like because they have so much privilege, they really want to make sure that like the kids can do whatever they're interested in. They'll like sign them up for whatever activities they're interested in, but they have to provide like a good reason for why they're quitting. They can't just like start something and then quit it. They have to have a good reason for it. Can you stop biting me? Thank you. And so he's having this like thought and discussion with Charlie of like Beckett will be fine, it's okay. And he's still getting texts from Rose, stop biting me, don't touch the crochet. Oh my god, there's so much knit here. There's so much yarn. You're gonna pull everything. You're being a little menace. And then he gets a text from Rose of, I did something. She has the whole tradition. Rose picks the first name and Connor picks their middle name. And this time she's decided to let Lo pick the first name. They know it's a boy and they're gonna let Lo pick. And then Connor talks about how like we've been so serious about wanting like Rose being a surrogate for Reich and Daisy. There was this possibility that maybe the sixth child was going to be a girl, and we decided to check to see like what the gender was, and we found out that it was a boy. And Reich and Daisy like immediately shut down and they're like, nope. I mean, we know Rose and Connor have always wanted to have that girl, and until they have that girl, like no, they're gonna continue to grow their family, and we don't want to impede like Reich and Daisy would be like impeding on that if Rose were to have their kid instead. So like they shut that door. And Connor talks about how like even I wanted it to be a girl, and that's big for me, that I wanted my family to stop growing so that Reich and Daisy could grow theirs. Oh my god, I love it.
He never, especially like at the beginning of the series and earlier in his life, would never take the more selfless. He not yeah, he wouldn't often take the more like selfless route that wasn't benefiting him
Yeah.
or like want or wish for something like that. So the fact that he was wishing for an outcome that like wasn't in his direct benefit of like he wants 8 kids, he wants more kids, that's what he's wanted, like what he's always wanted. So wanting a girl is not in that direct benefit of like his best interest that he's wanted. It is what he wants for Reich and Daisy.
Yeah. And
And
I
like
feel like
that is just
yeah, it feels even more meaningful because it's Reich. Like
mhm.
these two have constant like I could see it more especially for Lo because they're best friends, but because Reich and Connor have always had such a contentious relationship, to see how much it's grown that Connor's like, no, they deserve to have their family. I want Reich to have another kid, and I want it at the cost of the growth of my own family. Like that just speaks so much to how far their relationship has come, and I love it.
Yeah.
So what happened was, because Lily came to visit, Lo wrote down the name and had it in an envelope, and Lily delivered this envelope to Rose to see what their son's name is going to be. And she's like, he wrote down the name and gave it to Lily in an envelope. I can't take back this promise. I'm about to open the envelope. I swear if he named him Lauren, I will stab Lo in the eye. So she opens the envelope and it says Ben, named for Ben Obi-Wan Kenobi, who mentors Luke Skywalker, which is who Connor dressed up as for Halloween several years ago. Lo dressed Connor as Luke Skywalker. So that little callback. He reminds me of Connor. I could have made him Obi-Wan, Queen Rose, so put away your talons. This means a lot, so thanks. Ben, my grin can't be restrained at this point. Another vibration. Rose, he can live another day. She loves the name too. And then he talks about, like, he then makes the decision for his middle name, and he chooses Pirrup from Philip Pirrup in Great Expectations by Charles Dickens, and he explains that he saw Rose reading that book at a Model UN conference. She had been, like, sitting on a fountain, I think, or she'd been, she was sitting on a fountain reading the book, and Connor had walked past her, and she does not know. She's never known about this moment because she was too busy reading, but he walked past and felt compelled to look behind him and continue to stare at her. He was, like, so intrigued by her, and that was the first time that he had ever turned back and continued to stare at someone. So it was very meaningful for him. And the way he puts it, I had never looked back in that way before, but for the very first time I did. I looked back, and I only looked back at her. I love how they tie in, like, how their love for each other gets, like, tied into their kids' names too. It's so beautiful.
I love the meaning of their names and how, like, even how, like, she picks the first name and he picks the middle name because, like, that's what is important to them. Like, he goes by his middle name, and how they choose each of the names. And I think also even here, like, Rose is the one who picks the first name. So, like, how, like, it wasn't like Lo chose the middle name, which is Connor's, like,
Yeah.
that's like what the one he picks. And, like, so it wasn't like it was Rose who had him choose the first name. So, like, talking about how, like, how much Connor and Reich have, like, come.
Yes.
Also, like, Rose and Lo, like, they're sometimes they can be, like, at each other's throats, but also, like, they have really come a long way. Really, I don't know, their relationship has really grown, and, like, she gave him that, like, really important and special decision. That is, like, yeah, the first name is her, like, her choice. So I think the fact that she chose him, it wasn't like she chose Lily or something. Like, yeah, I think that's a
Yes.
really meaningful decision.
Yes. So that is the end of 2021. So we are going to end part 4 here, and we will continue on next week with part 5 and 2022. So until then, continue to stay addicted to Krista and Becca's writing like us.